Make my mistakes before we go.
Okay.
Welcome to the Operations Committee meeting of Tuesday, October 8th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Any pecuniary interest?
None known.
Not here. I'd like to welcome a delegation this morning. Tristan Bassett and Kirsten Kilner Holmes going to talk to us regarding some multi-use path signage ideas. And just Kristen is as a resident, and Tristan Bassett is with the new Sarnia Foundation. Okay, go ahead, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to do the next slide, Jim, just to bring us up to the topics we want to discuss. As Tim said, Tristan is with New Sarnia, and I'm a fairly new resident of Port Edward. We wanted to actually start off with all of you to get an update on some of the construction and the projects as it relates to the crosswalks that I know that there had been some conversation about. I know that I had a conversation with Councillor Grimes a few months ago, and I was really hoping that the crosswalk at Michigan and Livingston was going to happen this year. And so we wanted to get an update about that. And then, yes, talk about the multi-use Blue Water Bike path and then next steps. We really only want to be 10 minutes to your time, but hopefully maybe you can give us just an update on what the timeline of that crosswalk project would be.
The engineering work is supposed to be completed this week, and it may still happen this year. Just depends on how quickly they can go to tender and if there are contractors that can fit it into their schedule. So we too are hoping to get it done this year, but there's no guarantee of it.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. I have a personal story which I think is always impactful. I was walking along in Port Edward and just coming to the intersection of Michigan and Livingston, and it was a beautiful summer day. And there was a family walking right out front of Albert's, and there were cars parked all along. And a little one, maybe 3 or 4, ran out between cars and was almost hit. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, it was just take your breath away. Thank goodness nothing happened. And that kind of motivated me. I know I had a conversation with Councillor Grimes when he told me that there is a crosswalk in the works. But I really started thinking this would be lovely to happen sooner rather than later. And I also want to think about being how unique or Port Edward is making it a very unique crosswalk and making it maybe colors of like the ice cream cones, something very to make it unique and fun for the village of Port Edward. But I also wanted to think about, I've had experiences. I was in Europe last year in Edinburgh, and not only was it a crosswalk, they're everywhere, and pedestrians rule in Europe. They had a post with a light, and some are solar and some aren't. But as soon as you're at that crosswalk, you press that button, that light comes on, and cars have to stop. And it was a very low cost way of slowing down traffic. So that was an idea, and we can go to the next slide. So there's some possible solutions, and these are obviously all more costs, but interesting options. And even just implementing or having a sign with the ice cream and making it a little fun and interesting for people, like this is, slow down, and these are ways of doing that. Tristan, do you want to jump in on it?
Sure, yeah. So what we've done with this area is we've looked at some of the challenges that currently exist. And then generally with New Sarnia, we're a community-led organization. We don't have an engineering team. We don't have a lot of say with what happens with infrastructure. And so what we like to do is look at what is sort of best practice out there, globally within North America. What are people doing? This would be a case of best practice. A raised intersection crossing, the flex post in the middle of the road, things that physically make vehicles slow down rather than just, signage pollution everywhere. Now best practice generally is more budget, longer term, requires engineering. And then we sort of scale things down. You'll see as the slides go to, what might be a little bit more cost effective, easy to implement, what could we potentially look at as a pilot as well, just to test it out and get the community familiar with some of these things. So this one, as Kirsty mentioned, is kind of the highest hanging fruit, that best case scenario, safest possible option, best infrastructure for this crossing.
Next slide. So these are, again, some fun examples of crosswalks that communities have initiated and can be funded through different grant opportunities. Even the creative grant, county creative grant is just open now. This would be a perfect opportunity to apply for some funds to make that incoming crosswalk a little bit more village oriented and fun for all. Next slide. Go ahead.
Sure. So again, kind of scaling down a little bit to easier implement solutions. Daylighting is a very popular engineering infrastructure change that people are doing at intersections like this, where you would restrict parking in the spots closest to the intersection, which opens up visibility for all road users. So cyclists, pedestrians, and vehicles can all have much better sight lines, so that in the instance that Kirsty described with the 3-year-old running out between two vehicles, those type of situations are limited. So there is a little bit of daylighting right in front of Albert's at the intersection, but one of the recommendations would be to extend that further down to just open up that crosswalk much more. And then also there's a note that this can be done either through just lane striping or creative options like vegetation, garden boxes, things that can kind of brighten up the vibrancy of the village.
Next slide. So this is something that I experienced. I was just out in Halifax, Dartmouth, visiting my son for the last 4 days. And I had noticed them before, but I really noticed them this time all over Dartmouth. Have you seen the crosswalk flags?
Seen it in Florida.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So
It's a neat idea.
they're all over Nova Scotia. And yes, and then I went on the crosswalk flag websites, and one is pretty dated, but the other one, parachute.ca, had some excellent possibilities. These are so low cost. They could be really unique to the village. And even as Tristan mentioned, like as a pilot project, just to also launch the crosswalk, maybe it's not a long term, but maybe just for that crosswalk as an additional launch, we could again have fun with the flags. We could put some decals of ice cream cones or something.
Who
You know,
carried the flags?
Was
it the kids or was it?
No, there's actually a site that
crosswalk?
you can order them, but
No, but I mean, who?
Anybody who wants to cross.
anybody.
Okay.
So when I literally was in Dartmouth, there were 2 older gentlemen at a crosswalk, just grabbed a flag, walked across, and it's just that higher visibility. I saw them all over Dartmouth and parts of Halifax, and then I was in Wolfville, and they're just fascinating. And I think that I feel like they wouldn't work. I did like look up in Ontario, and you know, they're not going to work in Toronto, maybe not even the city of Sarnia, but for the village, I think even the crosswalk further down that I know you're thinking about for the school on Michigan, the additional crosswalks, I think that these would be a fantastic and really unique way of making the village just stand out a little bit and safe. for all. And we talked about with Tristan, like, there's some of the blowback or feedback is, why should the onus be on the pedestrian? Why aren't we, enforcing it with the drivers? But it's still a safety initiative, and it's a reminder to everyone. And I just think it's a fascinating idea, and I would love the village to think about
I think
it.
it's a liability would be my biggest worry there, is because anybody can grab the flags.
So, how so?
Well, because as you know, we're liable for, as a village.
Yeah.
We're liable for people's safety.
Yes,
So we now put flags up, and I'm just,
yeah, I'd like
now
to,
I can just grab like,
Yeah.
you don't know who's grabbing those flags.
well, anybody crossing the road.
If
is
somebody were
hopefully
hit, who is the
crossing.
liability fall on? I guess would be my
Right.
first question. If somebody, I grab a flag and I'm half cut because I've been at Las Ventas all day.
Yeah.
And I start walking across the road, maybe when I shouldn't, I get hit. Is
Right.
that onus on myself for doing that, or is the onus now on the village for lighting the flags? That would be my number one concern for myself.
That's fair. I'd love to see how other municipalities,
Like it'd be interesting to
Just-
ask Dartmouth how
yes,
that, from a
Yes.
liability aspect, from their perspective, how that is.
if somebody is still, right, good, fair point, fair point. Next slide. So then we'll just jump over, because I came here with two thoughts. Was my other experience was the multi-use pathway under the Blue Water Bridge. My husband and I walk and bike all the time, as many of you do. And we know how busy and crazy it is. And I know, I was talking to my neighbors, Lorraine and Don Smith, about that. I know they had reached out to Councillor Grimes as well with some concerns. And I have many friends who live all around the community who use this pathway, and we talk about the safety and I think now with the e-bikes, with the implementation of what's happening with that and the pilot project with the e-bikes, I see the speed. I live very close to the pathway by the Sarnia Public Works on Louisa. I see the speed of the e-bikes flying along the pathway and even under the bridges. And so I saw signage all over Halifax, but also while in Europe this past year of signage, and even just reminders, even if it's every 50 feet, of a middle line to delineate, stay on your side, but also the symbols of it's a multi-use painted on the pathway with cyclists and a pedestrian. And as Tristan mentioned, you can get sign pollution, but there's some really creative and fun signs that you can also implement that could help with this. So I would really love to see the village get more creative use. But also, at the end of the day, I know a conversation has come up that really where there is a pedestrian only section is, I think, for the safety of all, is at some point, 100 meters from the bridge on either side or more, that it's a dismount, walk, pedestrian use only, all under that section of the bridge, just for safety of all. Because even with bells, people are flying down there, and there's too many little ones and dogs and older folks that could really get injured. And so my thought process is specifically under that section is maybe making a recommendation that it's dismount and walk. Tristan, did you have any?
Yeah, if we go through the slides, you'll kind of see we did the same line of thinking here. We
So
looked at best practice infrastructure changes. So if the village was interested in putting forth, budget and engineering studies and infrastructure changes, you'll see that there's a few different options. Generally, this is an issue that's happening, broadspan anywhere that has put in a multi-user path is now facing the challenges of having those different modalities share the space. And for it to work, it all really does come down to etiquette, and that is a user behavioral change that we need to encourage. Short of that, we would separate them and we would no longer have multi-use paths. We would have specific pedestrian space and specific cycling space. So you can see a couple of options back here. And then if you go to the next slide, you'll see some lower hanging fruit. So again, as Kirsty said, just some interesting, more eye-catching signage that brings awareness to how to use the trail space properly, encouraging proper etiquette, and just get people reminded that they're sharing the space. And then if you move forth again, there is what Kirsty was saying, the recommendation to create a pedestrian priority zone and prohibit cyclists to ride through the path, dismounting and walking their bicycle. We did look at, there is an existing path now that goes up around the playground and comes and meets by the washroom there. There is the possibility to convert that into the cyclist space so that if cyclists do want to continue riding, perhaps that's a cyclist only zone. There's a concern that there's a lot of children at that playground and they walk back and forth to the parking lot. And so it's just a high traffic area anyways. And it is really difficult to create a space where people can comfortably and safely use both modalities. The pedestrians linger, the cyclists want to pass through, and it's just not really conducive to everybody using that space together.
Next slide.
That was it.
That's it. Let's thank you for your time and your consideration, and excited about the crosswalk coming up.
Anybody have any questions?
Oh, just for your information, Michigan Ave is a county road, so anything that we do is in consultation with the county before we can do anything. We had hired Paradigm to do a study of our traffic last year.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're working through recommendations, and the crosswalk came from that study. And I can't remember what it looked like, honestly. It's been a while since we've looked at it. Mike, do you remember?
Yeah, it was on the northeast corner, there was gonna be a bump out to allow traffic to narrow the pathway to restrict the traffic flow within that space. And it had that very high visible cross path that goes across there.
Yeah, great.
Just very small overstreet.
Okay, good. Would it be worth it to, as a community person, to approach the county about some of these creative uses with a crosswalk, or is that like painting it or anything like that?
I think that would be through us,
Yeah,
because
good.
we just meet with them and
Right,
and
right.
tell them what the plan is, and then,
There'll be regulatory
Yeah.
things that we'll have to
Yeah.
meet,
Yeah.
so the painting may not be an option depending on what the regulations tell us we need to do.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, there's so many considerations. So the one thing that you put up there about, pushing the cars back, the businesses don't want that
They won't.
because they don't have enough space for people to come and, get ice cream and french fries. And so
Well,
the bump out
yeah.
we're doing a bump out, which still allows the parking spaces.
Mhm.
Any questions? None?
No, I was just gonna say thank you for allowing us to come here and giving us some time on your agenda. Yeah, much appreciated.
Okay.
We didn't get into the other part. So the other
Oh,
part,
the,
under
under
the
the bridge,
waterfront.
right.
So my memory is a year ago, we looked at an idea that came forward about saying no bikes, and it was not accepted to stop bikes at the waterfront.
Right,
So,
and it's not necessarily stopping bikes, it's
Right.
just a dismounting and walking
Yeah, and-
your bike for
right,
200 meters.
that wasn't accepted.
And was that like through a council vote or
Mhm.
through, so if we revisited that, is that a possibility with the advent of the e-bikes and
E-bikes
just
aren't allowed on the
revisiting?
trails.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They're supposed to be.
Continuation of the
Supposed to.
Blue Water Trail,
Yeah.
but in Point Edward, you can't ride an e-bike on the trail.
But they are.
That, I know that, right?
Well,
You know?
the enforcement's gonna be the biggest
Yeah.
challenge.
Right, right.
But you can put all the rules in you
Right.
want, but unless you have somebody enforcing those rules,
No.
eventually they won't be more.
But we
So there's a
really,
lot of challenges that.
Mhm.
we never spent any time talking about painting, dividing the painting, but I remember.
With the Imran a number of years ago, I talked to him about that. And, it would, Things have changed and we never got back to it, of course.
In
Like
the, in the
you
paradigm,
to say,
sorry, I was gonna say in the paradigm study, there was some very specific demarcations about painting and how to be able to divide the trail up in either, as you've mentioned, a bicycle only section or a pedestrian only section, or how to best use that. So there were a number of options that we can bring forward to look at as well.
And that was a recommendation from the engineering consultant?
That is correct.
Yeah.
yes.
That would be great. I think, you know, it's just a gentle reminder to people, all along that if anything, it's just a one little baby step, like just a little step to just a reminder to people that this is a shared multi-use.
and just from Tristan, when you presented to the Lincoln County Regional Trail Group, there's insurance issues there as well. Insurance companies are wanting to make sure that there's proper signage up there, because if there's not, you know, we're definitely liable, right? So there's another piece to it. The insurance companies are forcing change.
Yeah, because we have had no motorized vehicle bike signs up on that path for
But there,
2 decades.
now there's an industry standard that they're coming out with. So,
Enforcement, right? They said no electric bikes, no motorized bikes for 15 years, but there's never been anybody to say being frontline people or cutting grass, we would bump into them and say, hey, but we can't do that now, because it's all.
I do know this is also something that the Blue Water Trails Committee is looking at in Sarnia as well too, because it's a widespread problem. So on the Howard Watson, it's the same thing. You've got somebody with a dog on a long leash and then an e-bike that is maybe a class 4 that can go very fast. And it's a problem everywhere. Enforcement is not the best solution. It's really about how to make it almost physically impossible to do so. So as you can see, like putting up a barrier that you can't actually bike through, or one of the zigzag barriers that you would.
And those are great, like for, again, I'm speaking from public works perspective, we plow those in the winter. So they either have to be removable
Temporary, yeah.
or, you know, so like from our perspective, like these are all great ideas, but logistically, some of them are present more challenges for us.
So what we try to do at New Sarnia is we'll take something like the engineering consultant study that has given the best practice recommendations. They've clearly indicated that all of these are an issue or are ongoing challenges. And they've presented what the village should be doing. And so we'll try to distill that down into something that's a little bit more reasonable or manageable or cost effective, temporary. So even try it for a season, try it spring to fall, let me.
Well, like as we have now, we have the gates that stop the bikes from being able to zip across the roads. They have to go through the zigzags. Which is great because we don't, in the winter time, we open those gates, we can plow right through. The zigzags just are.
And chances are, obviously in the winter, you know, people aren't biking, depending on the snow.
It depends, yeah.
Well, flat tire e-bikes and.
They're coming in all seasons.
Yeah.
Cycling. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's, like I say, it's all different demographics on those bikes too.
for sure, yeah,
Majority, I would say, are retirees at this point.
right, yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, can we send the paradigm report to the delegation so they can see what
Oh, that would be great, yeah.
Jim can send it to them, so they know the information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for coming.
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay. First, next back to the agenda, circulation of the past meeting minutes. They were approved in our last council meeting. I just have a couple follow-ups. There was supposed to be putting out a survey for garbage bag limits. Any,
It's being worked on right now.
okay, good, perfect. Food truck location, any update on that information?
I do have pricing for the electrical. I'm just waiting for finalized pricing for the pad.
Perfect, thank you. I'll move that we receive file.
So moved or seconded, sorry.
Okay, ongoing task.
So this task list didn't quite come out the way I hoped it would. Thought it would
Yeah,
It
when you
should have all
convert it
fit
to
on
PDF,
one.
It flips,
It,
takes off a bunch of stuff.
yeah, it went to 2 pages wide for some reason. I don't know why it is. But anyway. Anything in yellow is kind of an ongoing thing that's being worked on, and the green things are completed and won't show up on another report. So, and then anything in white is just, it's things that, well, it's other departments, anything in white.
So we've got the yellow ongoing. Is the trucks, is now the trucks become a greater issue than it was in the past. And, also the service club stuff, right? For the.
Lieutenant Tanner? Yeah. And that, I mean, nothing's happened
Yeah.
there.
And also the possibility of future active transportations. Plan for the village. Which would tie in very well with what we just discussed. Okay, so, yes, we've seen the file that. Next one is, the Arena Joint Health and Safety Committee sheets. There was just one note on this, and I'm not sure, it's a concession stand, emergency lighting for exit signs.
Battery in the place.
Battery?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are you see the file? Public Works, 28 Health and Safety. Looks like there was an issue with, they could not find the first aid logbook. So, has there been any resolution to that? Has been found? Jane?
I did search, Public Works to find it. I was unable to, and I was Steving off last week on it. Discuss that.
Wasn't behind the first aid.
Yep. I didn't see it, but maybe I missed it.
So,
Keep searching, we will look.
okay,
We'll find it.
thank you. So, will you see me file that?
Seconded.
Arena monthly report, Derek. Now we have activity there.
Good morning, everyone. This is the monthly report for September for the arena. Ainsworth has been in to test all our backhoe assemblies. The Olympia has had all its blades resharpened, and we also purchased a new one along with a wood brush and flood pot. Dixie Construction was back in to countersink the aluminum tread plates at the Olympia gates to the ice. There was an issue with doors closing, but it's resolved now. Black McDonald in to upgrade our heat exchanger on the glycol system of the refrigeration plant. This has been an outstanding issue repair since the original installation of the system. The original heat exchanger was not big enough to handle the heat generated by the compressor. A newer, larger plate and frame heat exchanger was installed at no cost to the building. Robert's Power Control was in to replace a couple rink lights. We ordered some spares as we're starting to see some of them burn up. September 16th was compressor startup day. All safety devices were tested. 2 pressure relief valves need replacement for the end of October. They have been ordered. Inspection of the valves and pistons of compressor 1 also took place, and all was good. Ice building commenced on the evening of Wednesday, September 19th. Graham Nesbitt was in on the 18th to assist with white ice painting and to deliver paint for the line circles and creases. On Monday, the 23rd, all hockey lines, circles, hash marks, creases were painted and sealed. The Pointer Blackhawks logo was installed at center ice once again. Ice building continued for the remainder of the week, with the Olympia coming out of storage and being put in service on Friday, September 27th. Ice building and leveling continued throughout the weekend. In anticipation of the opening Monday, September 30th. Ainsworth Technical in for annual testing inspection of the hot water system boilers along with the mixing valve for domestic water. No issues were reported. An agreement has been signed with Liveburn to provide live and on-demand broadcasts of sports and events at the arena. We look forward to working with the people at Liveburn. It is hoped that lots of subscriptions will be sold and we can generate some extra revenue for the facility. Mike probably has more details on all that. September 28th was Touch a Truck fundraiser in the front parking lot of the arena, hosted by the Point Edward Early Learning Center. The event looked to be very well organized and well attended. Lots of fun. Work management side, we have 3 full-time employees and 1 seasonal employees that started on September 18th. Welcome back, Dan Lamar. We look forward to working with Dan once again this winter. Employee training, all arena employees completed the following training online: CPR refresher, first aid, cuts and bleeding, and women's 2023. For the facility activity, the numbers are low. Obviously, we're only open 1 day in September. Some user groups, including Fire Skating Club, are starting later date than early October. Skating Club starts today. Interior, regular maintenance cleaning continued daily. Deep cleaning of the arena occurred prior to ice installation. Painting of dress rooms 2, 3, 4, and 5, along with all dressing room doors, blue railings, and hallway touch-ups also occurred before ice installed. Exterior general maintenance around the building, and all parking spot lines have been painted. Thank you to Steve and the public works crew for taking care of this for the season started. Good. Community hall, for our optimists, continue to manage the community hall. Mike will be speaking with the optimist with some health and safety issues that were observed during a visit from the fire department. Concession stand, Red and Co at the rink will return this for the winter season once again. Welcome back. Inspection, monthly fire extinguisher AED inspection completed, monthly generator test completed, working pest control for monthly inspection, no issues reported, and Ainsworth completed the annual inspection of the boiler and backfill assembly. In venue advertising, new pricing has been established as per Mike Mazzoli. Point Brewing Company has confirmed 4 rink board advertisements to be installed after ice install. And on an update, the signs have been installed on Monday, September 3rd. Vehicles and equipment, the public works water truck has been returned to the department and taken out of service. Steve has more information on that. And 2 sets of hockey nets were put up for surplus and sold on September 27th. Customer satisfaction, lots of excitement for the upcoming season. Many user groups have reached out to inquire how ice install was going and indicated they can't wait to get back to the event. This year will be an exciting winter. Health and safety, monthly SOP reviews as assigned by the health and safety coordinator completed. No security issues. Capital and operating budget, all 2024 major capital projects have been completed. The only outstanding one is the roof inspection, which I think is looking at a vendor to provide this. I'm not sure why that's a capital budget item. And that should move. Closing comments. September was a very active month at the arena. We had lots of maintenance work completed in the compressor room and around the arena in general. Preparation for the ice commenced at the beginning of the month, with the compressors being commissioned on September 16th. Ice building started shortly after. The ice was then painted, built up, leveled, and ready to go for Monday, September 30th. On the work management side, we welcome back Dan and Mark for the winter season. Looking ahead to October, we will welcome back most of our regular user groups in the first 2 weeks, including the 2 major user groups, the Point Edward Minor Athletic Association and the Point Edward Skating Club. The schedule gets very busy after Thanksgiving with all user groups up and running, and will continue to be busy until early April 2025. So we look forward to a very active and successful ice season after the if you have any questions.
Your worship, anything?
No, I just wanted to congratulate everyone because I was in for hockey on Saturday and Sunday and the arena looks fabulous. Lots of positive comments. I got like just moving around. A concession opened Sunday.
Yep.
She wasn't doing it Saturday, so I had no coffee.
No,
But they were up and running and had selling French fries and everything on Sunday, so that was good. It was just an exciting vibe to be back in and
yep, sure.
for the winter.
Just a comment, we've got 1 set of advertising. Hopefully we can fill that place up and
There'll be some good news down the road. I think working with the Pacers, what they're proposing, I think they have a lot of contacts and a lot of people willing to look for sponsorship, so it'll be good.
okay. That's all I had for that. Just receive and file that report,
Seconded.
then we'll go to Public Works. Hey.
Good morning, this is the report for ending September 30th. Nothing to report back, the previous month, work management, we're down to 4 staff, full-time staff now. Employee training, the online limits and the first aid refresher. And Mike Upco went, to snow skills.
Cool.
Yeah. Building, no issues to report, interior, exterior inspections, nothing to report. Roads and sidewalks, we painted the arena parking lot as would be mentioned. And the street sweeper was in to do north of Michigan. All the parks and spaces, the flower baskets were removed, the banners were swapped out. We installed the final Minor Group sign on Venetian and Exmouth with Dave Beatty. We did some sidewalk edging around the Craig Park and a couple other spots. Built the playgrounds. Splash pad was shut down, but we had lots of smiling children and smiling parents because we kept it open an extra 2 weeks this year because Mother Nature said we better. And I think it was a good move because I think it was hot. It wasn't just a weekend that was hot. It was hot for probably 20 hours there. So I think that was worth the extra money. And, I saw a lot of people using them, and a lot of them went around Atlantic County with bullets. So it was nice to have ours open. Shut off the sprinkler systems at Waterfront Park and the other small parks. I've already, then I let John Miller know, so they'll winterize those when he's getting new from there, I think. Splash pad washings are close to a season, and we put out to get them winterized. They actually got done the other day, so that's done. Put up some new street signs. We've ordered a couple others that want to be painted. The needs. Inspections, audits, and reports. We did some sewer camera work for Meg at the request of Lydia. We also did some weed whipping at their request too from some of the building. Vehicles, this is 3/4 Chevy in for all change. All the trucks went in. All the passenger trucks, I guess, went in for their annual inspections. And we all got oil changes and stuff at that time. The water truck number 11, the 09 Ford, was it failed at safety, so it will have to be dealt with. Whether we trade it in or whether we surplus it, but if we get another truck and we want this traded in, be done with it. Yeah, because the CBOR, just to explain a little bit, that's changed significantly just recently, and it's going to for regular cars too. Now they have to take pictures, measurements. There's a lot more involved around with safeties, which is not a bad thing, but that is partially like they found things that they probably would have found in the past. That truck we all know was on it. What we were living it through anyway, but this is a glaring reminder that part of why these CBORs are important thing, because I did all around 4,000 pounds of water all summer long, right? So it was a solid vehicle for a long time. Other motorized equipment, so we had the paint machine we had some problems with it, so we had it taken in and fixed, and then that's why we were able to get to we're hoping to do it a little bit sooner, but health and safety, no issues, security, no issues. Capital budget, nothing to report back. I'm still waiting to hear from my box. They're waiting for the box. I may just push them and tell them to give me the plow. I did message him yesterday. I haven't heard back yet. And the pathway stuff, Mike's kind of working with Sebby on that. Other than that, I think everything else we're up on. So looking ahead, October means winter ready as for the minimum maintenance standards, so we've switched to our winter hours now. And yeah, fully comments, so long Tina, we will miss you, but we're in capable hands, ball is in the air, so and so are the leaves until we hit the ground.
Somebody else read that?
You know who wrote this, right?
Yep.
Yep, when I get to closing comments, you know who wrote it. Any questions?
No, just a comment. I always like to remind people when the other washroom's closing.
Yeah.
So that would be by October 30th.
Yeah, generally, like, I mean, again, if we hit this weather that for some reason,
But we-
but we have to worry about
We
it.
always worry about Halloween night
Yeah,
for the one at the waterfront.
Yeah.
And then last year, I think, we brought in a portable.
yeah, and I believe
Have
the
we
plan is
discussed
to do
that?
that again. Well, we'll have to decide, like, it worked really well over at the Splash. Pad,
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, it was more protected
I
and
think
secure.
so, and just less.
More
likely
eyes
to
on
get-
it.
Yeah.
And less likely to get vandalized, and we have cameras there, so if
Yeah.
something did happen, at least we can. I don't know how much, but, the only other option would be to move it out of from underneath that, that's the waterfront option, I think what, like, we remember we put the
Yeah.
one there for the. for
Well,
the
when
last one,
COVID, we had the one,
And I had it on the post
Yeah.
there by the service road,
Yeah.
and that seemed to be less likely to be vandalized. But we'll definitely bring the one down.
Okay.
I think we'll start at the Sky Pad. I think that worked well. It's mostly for the walkers anyway. A lot will depend on what happens with the food truck situation. So that will have to be all, that logistics will have to be worked out if somebody does come. That's for future consideration.
I got a question on the trucks.
Yeah.
This is a yearly safety, do we have them done in the past, yearly?
We have, so what happened was. CVORs are usually only done on vehicles that are a certain way old or they do certain jobs. When we had that problem with the other truck that we sold. We decided at that time that all passenger trucks would be CVOR safety. So Jay's department, I don't know what firemen can speak for them, but I know Jay's department, they get annual safeties. So there's only really probably 2 of our trucks that actually meet the requirements to do it. But we've been doing it for the be above and beyond. And that's only been probably the last 3 years.
Because I'm assuming this is fairly new and all. Well, that's-
It's fairly new for the passenger trucks.
Yeah.
Like, so the
Yes.
big trucks have always got it. The one time used to get it, the loaders, we always do annual safeties on, we do annual safety. So everything other than the passenger trucks at the time. So, and generally, as long as we keep them in good shape, we run into great jobs and stuff, but
That's regular maintenance.
yeah, right. So-
Okay, that's good, because we don't want, I know in the past we had an issue with the truck, and we don't want anything like that.
No, and that was, so, and whether that would have even caught, like, again, that's a whole
Yeah.
other story, that's, but,
But it's a good practice to have.
but this one got caught ahead of something. Some reason for us to pull it up, which is nice, right? So, it did its job, right? The CBO did its job for that.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
something under new business.
Okay, well, we see the power report. Just before we move on, Mike, have you got any updates on what you've been referred to, like, what was it now? There was a couple of things there, I thought, well, the advertising, we know. But, what was it?
Oh, the live bar.
Yeah, the light bar.
I've spoken to Patrick at Live Bar and I've signed the agreement and sent it along. We've started the conversation about what is necessary in terms of advertising. They provide all the advertising for us. Once I get that manual, Derek and I will discuss it to find out the best way and what would be most suitable for the arena to be able to do that, as well as any digital aspects that we can not only put on the village website, our Facebook site, and be able to post it out to our community to see who would be interested into that. I will pass it along to any of the user groups that are within that space, so they can put that on their websites as well. The timeline right now is the equipment is going to be ordered immediately. The longer issue that they're looking at would be bringing a secondary internet access into that space. I did indicate to them that Blue Water Network, regional network would be the best option for that, given the highest speeds, and we already have that. So,
Doing good. Okay. Let's see. Move on to new business. You got something done?
This is just for your awareness. So about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, a tent was set up behind the Lambton Public Health Unit and Tourism. So the bridge staff, it's bridge property, went in immediately and removed it. But right away, the bridge is installing new cameras along the back of the tourism building. And those cameras will be monitored by their 24-hour operations center at the bridge. And the next day they went out and they were still working on it yesterday. They cleaned all the canopy,
Yeah,
like they moved up, like eliminated branches, so you see, they went all the way over to Front Street.
Yeah, you can't camp in there.
Yeah,
now.
so it's far more visible, but I just wanted to let you know, if there's ever an issue, there are cameras up there now too.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good for Jane and all that.
Yeah.
Because of baby station.
yeah, I'll mention it to them, but, so that was really like, that happened in the morning, and by the afternoon, they were out there starting to do branches.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Just talking to Shepherd.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see, actually, you say that and you start looking around, let's see how many people are starting to do that. Just trim things up.
Yeah.
There isn't that bushy kind of hiding places, I guess.
Well, MTO did a good job
Oh, yeah.
along there, and we've been after them for years.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you put an encampment in there and they drop it.
Yeah, exactly. I just got one question, or I see that Sarni's got a waste management plan they're working on. And it's about, they're gonna change their pickup for, they're gonna change their garbage. They're looking at organic, recycling. We've been in any discussions or have any input, cause they got a thing tomorrow night where they're asking public input on all this stuff, like. You know, cause if they're doing like an organic waste project. You know, should we be discussing something in the future? Maybe we can tie into that, like green bin, that kind of stuff, cause they're talking about going to. You know, the trucks with the lifts and everything else, from what I've read quickly in the last 24 hours, anyway, so. Just, you know, something that if they're doing it, maybe we can dovetail in on something possibly, or at least understand what it is they're doing.
So there's been no communication with the city of Sarnia about this. Do you know who's leading it over there?
Yeah.
If you can give me a contact, and we can,
Forget the first name.
Not Alice.
Jackson.
David Jackson.
Jackson, yes.
It's an online survey that.
Yeah, they got an online survey. Yeah, and I've just, you know, just noticed it the last couple of days, because I've been having some internet issues and stuff where I was. So anyways. I'm trying to catch up. Okay, great. Okay. You're on the, oh,
Thank you, Steve.
thanks, Steve. So, Rena Financial. Any questions?
I didn't have any.
I'm good. You can see them file that. Public Works Financial. Any questions? I just have one. And it's on street sweeping because we're way under. Are we gonna do any more this year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was my only question.
Fall is our big one, right?
Yeah.
Spring we put off due to all the construction, and then Jim asked if he could do north of Michigan because. Our bridge is done, so really that spring one that's where we save the money right now. But we did spend part of it.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that was the answer.
Well,
but
it
I
won't,
thought
it
I'd
won't
ask.
come till probably December, like, we won't do it till we lose fall, we try to time
Yeah.
it, that's the challenge is timing it
Yeah.
without snow.
Yeah,
Okay,
get as many leaves down as you can before they freeze.
100%.
yeah.
okay, great, thank you. Any other items at all?
Not for me.
Okay, well, our next meeting is November 12th, 10 a.m. Right here. Move